will get to as many of you as I can. So let us now turn to our wonderful panel, and they will speak in the order that is listed in the program. We have Jan Lipavský, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. We have Ruben Brekelmans, the Minister of Defense of the Netherlands. And we have the Honourable James Danley, the Deputy Secretary of Energy of the United States. And we have Osama Mubarak, the Secretary General of the East Mediterranean Gas Forum. And Minister Lipavský, may I invite you to take the floor. It's good to see you after we've seen each other in Prague a few weeks ago. Welcome to the Manama Dialogue.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for a warm welcome. It's a great pleasure to be with you today in Manama. I would like to thank to Bahrain for warm hospitality, to Minister Zayavi, and I have to begin with a simple statement that this region, with its vast resources, has shaped global energy dynamics for decades. It is a particularly fitting place, therefore, to reflect on our topic in the evolving geopolitics of energy. And allow me to dedicate this speech to few remarks on lessons learned from a central European perspective. For many years, mainstream thinking on the continent in Europe was that we treated energy as a mere market commodity. Now we know that this view no longer holds. Since 2022, Europe has undergone a profound awakening to the nexus between energy and security. Yielding to its neo-imperialistic impulses, the Russian Empire revealed its true nature. It weaponized nearly everything in an increasingly open hybrid war against Europe. Energy was among its first instruments of choice, exploiting our deep dependence on Russian energy supplies. Political optimism, strategic short-sightedness, economic interest and persistent Russian lobbying reinforced by energy infrastructure connections placed Europe in a position of vulnerability. We became energy hostages. Russia turned energy pipelines into chains. But every form of dependency can be overcome, provided it is recognized as such. Of course, it requires resolve and sacrifice. On the day of Russia's invasion in February 22, my government began work on cutting us free from Russian energy imports. In oil, we broke our reliance on the Druzhba pipeline. We financed the reinforcement of the Transalpine pipeline. In short, it's known as TAL. It goes from Italy through Austria to Germany and then connects to Czechia. It now delivers up to 8 million tons of crude oil annually to Czechia from the Italian port of Terste, and since TAL completion earlier this year, we have not imported a single drop of Russian oil. We applied the same approach to natural gas. At the beginning of 2023, we ended our 98% dependence on Russian deliveries. We joined the investors in the first post-invasion LNG regasification terminal in Eemshaven, in Netherlands. It has since transferred approximately 16 billion cubic meters of LNG into European gas network. We also now have similar deals with German LNG ports. And 1/3 of this amount was US LNG for Czechia. So today our reliance on Russian gas is near zero. We are also diversifying nuclear fuel supplies for our Soviet-designed VVER reactors at the Temelín and Dukovany power plants. A few months ago, we received our first deliveries from American Westinghouse. In parallel, we are exploring other reliable suppliers, including France, to secure our needs. Western companies exited this business in the 90s, leaving the field to Russia under the assumption that it would remain a reliable partner. Why do I share these stories? Why do I share this example of Czechia? Because the Czech experience offers a case study in how a landlocked country can overcome a geographic constraints and transform its energy mix in response to geopolitical risks. Unfortunately, some EU member states had not yet cut themselves off from Russian oil and gas. Otherwise, they continue to weaken all of us. This is why I welcome President Trump's push to reduce fossil fuel imports from Russia into Europe. And I will be very specific. Hungary and Slovakia point to geographically as a constraints. They are basically Czech neighbours. The same geography applies. But that argument does not hold. We manage and show the way. Being landlocked doesn't mean being confined and without options. Budapest and Bratislava have credible alternatives to Russian supplies. For example, Croatia has offered Hungary oil via the Adria pipeline, while Prime Minister Orbán points to technical issues. Perhaps, but they can be resolved in the same manner and same way as we had challenges with TAL pipeline. And other shareholders were initially hesitant to escape the capacity, but we invested in upgrading the pipeline, retrofitting pumps and infrastructure. Same for Slovakia. It is connected to all its neighbours with gas flowing from Austria, Czechia, Hungary, Poland and Ukraine. So from our side, I can also confirm that Czech gas infrastructure has sufficient capacity to meet Slovakia's need. And my message to those who continue to rely on energy is clear. On Russian energy is clear. You have an alternative. Moscow is not a reliable partner. In the end, you will pay far more than you appear to save now. And beyond our immediate neighbourhood, the Czech experience offers also the following lessons for the broader international community. Firstly, diversification is essential. Relying on a single supplier, especially one willing to weaponize energy, is an unacceptable risk. Secondly, strategic infrastructure matters. Investments in pipelines, terminals and interconnectors are not just economic, they are strategic assets that shape national security. And thirdly, solidarity is a strength. The EU's coordinated response to the energy crisis demonstrated the power of unity. Together we secured supplies, stabilised markets, supported vulnerable populations and pushed back against Russia. In this context, I want to highlight the recent adopted 19 EU sanctions package, which targets the energy sector, particularly the quick-fight natural gas, LNG. So, let me conclude by stressing that Moscow's weaponization of energy is not a just European problem. A destabilised world is not the Middle East interest. Therefore, a more coordinated approach among global energy players, many of whom are gathered here in Manama, is needed. We all understand the Middle East's leverage over global energy prices, so please keep in mind the less Russian heirs from oil, the harder it becomes for Kremlin to sustain its war machine. Without security, there is no prosperity. Europe and the Middle East should build an energy partnership based on stability, investment and predictability. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Minister Lipavský, thank you very much for those remarks and for outlining the journey that the Czech Republic has been on to transform its energy mix. I think that call for partnership, will be picked up, I imagine, by many to see how we can make that a reality. Minister Brekelmans, over to you.
Thank you very much. You